Hello, everyone. My name is Jonathan Irwin. I'm the CEO and founder of ReadyApp. This is our very first podcast. We've got a podcast, Justin. I've got Justin Rudwell with me here, who is our chief product. No, he's not. No, you're not
No,
chief
I'm not
product
that.
officer.
No,
you're
that's
chief
Patrick.
growth officer.
Yeah.
That's what you are, Justin.
That's
Glad
what I
you're
do.
here.
That's what I do.
That's right.
I'm very excited.
That's right. Glad you're here. So this is ReadyApp's first podcast, and what we're going to give you guys this because this is what they tell us to do in all the books, the social media books, which is give a topic, and it's very narrow, very well understood, but extraordinarily deep. So here's what our topic is in the ReadyApp podcast. Here's what we specialize in. Here's why we've been in business for 10 years. The word, everyone, is engagement. Yeah.
We're the Mariana Trench of engagement. That's us.
That's right. So employee engagement specifically, that's one thing that we specialize in that we've been that we want to share. And why, Justin? Because it's elusive, it's a myth, it's a legend. Everybody is looking for it right now. And guess what?
Misunderstood, yeah.
It is misunderstood, but they also do not have it.
Yeah, everyone looks for it.
That's
It's
right.
the unicorn.
That's right. It is the unicorn. It's a great topic. Gosh, we could do 100,000 podcasts on this, but we're going to try to keep it neat, clean, and down to a select few. But what we purposefully want to do is give people a perspective on engagement, what it means to them, how the pandemic has influenced it, new strategies and considerations by large organizations around environment and social aspects and governance aspects, maybe diversity, equity, inclusion, how the pandemic has impacted corporate engagement, and maybe not just employee engagement, but ecosystem engagement of your constituents and stakeholders around your company and brand, more specifically. So certainly, I think when we think about engagement, it's communication, it's leadership, it's management. There are, as we all know, cultural and generational shifts that are happening inside of engagement. And that's something we should talk about. There are software categories that are built around the word engagement, and they can only be certain things. But nowadays, it almost feels like when I'm Googling products or I'm looking at the competitive landscape, as Justin, I know you do too, it looks like everybody's kind of doing the same stuff over and over and over again.
It's pretty crowded. There's no doubt.
I think you and I had a conversation the other day at breakfast that you were talking a little bit more about the nuance of engagement related to behaviors and needs. Why don't you share a little more about that? Because that's what we're most interested in. I think when people think about software and how it gets built, they don't quite understand the engineer's perspective, the architecture that goes into it. And so I think that's kind of a unique aspect for us.
For sure. I mean, we know that engagement is, partially architectural. I mean, technology is built to help with it. We also know it's behavioral and emotional. But really, the most important aspect, I need to back it up just a minute, though, because how do we know that people have engagement issues? I mean, lots of people shop for it, but they might find out that they've got an employee engagement problem because people are leaving. They've got,
retention,
lack of
right?
retention. High turnover is a pretty common thing that we hear, particularly in our industries, which are mainly serviced by these what we call non-desk workers, or often called frontline, or folks who work with their hands, tools, machines, people, customers. So we know that it's an issue because people say, look, we can't seem to hold on to people. We've got turnover problems, or they do a survey and people are consistently disappointed with the level of engagement that they have with their employer. But really, we think the overriding factor in engagement and capturing all the pieces of engagement are really kind of a meaningful connection, whereby you can get the things that you need to do your job and be more effective and add more value. I mean, human nature is you want to add value in your personal life and your work life. And if you feel like you're not able to do that because you don't have a meaningful connection and access to key information to do your job better, we know that impacts engagement in a negative way if you don't have access to that.
Yeah, I think maybe the operative word there is connection, and the fact that even people who grew up with technology or sat at desks, I think even pre-email, before people were communicating, even though someone was just outside your office, you would get up, you would walk over. You had these very physical connections with people. We had a great comment from one of our customers the other day that has 15,000 employees and 120 different locations. And the comment from the chief human resource officer and diversity, equity, inclusion officer was, how do you have an open door policy when everybody is so spread out? It has to be a virtual open door. So connection is important, especially in these day and age when we are trying to make sure that people feel a sense of purpose with their job. Because that is the culture these days, which is, people are questioning the idea that they go to work every day. They have and they want to actually walk home feeling that they have contributed.
Yeah, all the studies we've done and all the research we see, and it's pretty apparent that
At ReadyApp?
at
Yes.
ReadyApp, that's right. We
Brought
do
to you by
research.
ReadyApp.
That's right. We look into these things. No, I mean this generational shift cannot be underestimated, right? I think in the industries that we serve, which kind of hospitality, we do healthcare, we do manufacturing, construction, mining, shows us that this workforce is changing, right? They have different expectations, they have different technology in their pockets, they have choice.
Right.
The market is such that if anybody wants to kind of go try something else, they can easily do that. So back in the day, I think employees were kind of almost hostage to a certain company. You work in the company town, you work in the shop at the company store, and that was your life and that was your career. Clearly, people are a lot more mobile and flexible nowadays, and they have access to so much more information. Therefore, their expectations have gone up about how they do their work, how they get their information, how they communicate with peers and with other folks. And that alignment of purpose is real.
I think that's
that affects your emotional state as well.
100%. I couldn't help think about, as you were talking about the employee perspective, when an organization identifies that they have an issue, that they have a problem, could be a cultural problem, could be a number of different types of abnormalities. It could be a high turnover, that they identify. So we all sit around a table and we decide we need to engage our employees better. We need to understand them better.
Yeah, obviously.
Who goes and does it, right? Who's the person that goes out and searches
Whose job?
for that elusive connection
Right.
that will turn into and then morph into and then grow into a stronger relationship between employer and employee. And so what we have seen here at ReadyApp is the idea that, it could be your HR department that is charted with, like, hey, our HR people know people.
Yeah,
Do
they're
they?
people. Right.
And do they? Right. They're all they're always wonderful to talk to. However, it also could be a marketing communications person. It could be an operational executive. It could be. It could start at a manager level, and even funnier, perhaps, an intern level.
Right.
If you're going to have an intern go out and search for engagement products, tools, services, process, methodology, do they know what they're looking for? Do they have a plan? Do they have a blueprint? So I think that's something we'll get into in our future podcast, which is, what is the process and what are we doing? What are we hoping to achieve?
How do you do it? Yeah.
What happens at the end of this? Oh, here's a good one. Is there an end of it? Is it a process that we complete and then we check that box, or is it a way that we work from now going forward? And I think that that's be another great leadership to bring on one of our customers at a very high levels that have really seen what happens when you engage and then you don't stop.
Well, I think it starts with kind of emotionally intelligent leadership. I mean, that's another topic, and I'm sure we'll pick up as one of these podcasts.
Yeah, good one. I love it.
It's really can be impactful or really damaging for a company who don't have the right leadership in place or the right mentality or the right working circumstances to kind of figure out how they tackle something that is not broadly understood in the market. And again, particularly for our industries, which are, sometimes a little bit laggard in terms of how they view that particular employee and how they try to support them. And I think there's genuine interest out there in how can we best support these folks. But it may not be just solely pay more.
Yes,
that's
right.
oftentimes the kind of snap reaction, but it's more than that.
Absolutely. I think it is more than that. And I think that when people think about how they are going to embrace, engage, change the way that they do business, I also think about employee protections. I think about Amazon and Starbucks. I like to talk about those in terms of their
Never heard of them.
unionizations. That's right. Well, I'm not sure what they do either, but I was just reading something one day on. But also like how important workforce protections are, but not necessarily as it pertains to unions, but just how you lose the connection to employees that you do want to engage. And I think there is a cultural, not just a generational shift as it pertains to devices, but there is a cultural and a behavioral shift that may actually, we should probably talk about related to the emotional intelligence of employees when they take jobs.
Right.
And what they get out of them. And potentially there are generations of leaders out there today that may not see this coming because they've been working in a pattern within a paradigm of what employees do when they clock in for the day and what is expected of them versus how can I support that employee? How can I engage them where they are so that they have the tools they need to do their job and they walk away fulfilled?
Yeah.
That should not be like of only the I don't know, let's use a terrible term right now, a woke employer. It should be people that actually care about other people and are interested in forming relationships. Sure, they're business relationships. Sure, there are expectations. But I think these are great topics. We're really excited to bring these topics to everyone that tunes in. And it could be a like or a follow, or just go to areadyapp.com. I'm not exactly sure where these will be published, but we've spent a ton of money on production engineers here to help us really pull off this first one.
Shout out to Jim and Hayden here.
That's right. Yeah, that's right. So anyway, Justin, thanks for being here, and grateful for your time, and look forward. I'm sure you will be back as a repeat guest.
I'd love to.
I hope you come a little more prepared next time.
No,
you're really
I
ready.
apologize for that. Yeah.
All right, thanks everybody. Signing off. ReadyApp.com, the employee engagement platform.